Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We love to get into the nitty-gritty and really dissect these topics.
Absolutely.
And today we're focusing on something that I think is super relevant to probably most of our listeners,
Yeah.
especially if you're, tuning in from outside the, whatever country you consider your native country.
Right.
So basically we're talking about language learning and more specifically sticking with it, right?
Yeah.
The idea of persevering even when things get tough, because I don't know about you, but I've definitely hit those walls
Yeah, me too.
where you just feel like I am never going to get this.
Absolutely.
And our sources today really emphasize that idea that, don't give up on learning English.
Which is, I mean, it's interesting because on the surface, it seems like, okay, well, duh.
Right. Yeah, of course you should never give up.
But I think what's cool is that the sources go beyond just that kind of generic motivational message.
Yeah, okay. So it's more nuanced than just like, keep going.
Exactly. It's not just a poster on a classroom wall,
Yeah.
right? It's really about understanding that struggling is a normal part of learning a language.
Okay. So it's almost like reframing the struggle as like a necessary step.
Right, and understanding that, like you said, those moments when you hit a wall or the grammar seems impossible or you just can't get your pronunciation right,
Yeah.
those are not signs that you're failing. They're actually signs that you're learning.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
So how do we actually kind of shift our mindset to embrace the struggle?
Yeah.
Especially when you're, learning English, maybe you're also, in a new country or trying to navigate a new culture.
Right.
It can feel extra daunting.
Absolutely. And I think, putting yourself in the shoes of someone who's moved to a new country
Yeah.
and suddenly even simple things like ordering a coffee or asking for directions
Wow.
feel like climbing Mount Everest.
Right. Yeah.
That's when this whole never give up idea becomes less of an abstract concept
Totally.
and more of like a lifeline.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we kind of understand that we need to embrace the struggle. We need to kind of shift our mindset.
Yeah.
But let's get practical. Like, what are some actual things that our listeners who are learning English can do to kind of put this into action?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I think is really powerful is understanding how your brain actually learns a language.
Okay.
So when you learn a language, you're essentially rewiring your brain. You're creating new neural pathways.
So even when it's hard, I'm still making progress.
Exactly. So even when you're struggling, you're literally building new connections in your brain.
That's amazing.
And I think that's incredibly motivating.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where having a toolkit of strategies comes in.
Okay.
The sources talk about things like spaced repetition, where you revisit vocabulary and grammar at increasing intervals.
Oh, right, right.
And that helps those new neural pathways solidify.
Okay.
It's like building a muscle. You need that consistent effort over time.
Yeah, and it's not just about brute force effort either.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
about, I guess that ties back into embracing the struggle, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not just going to like beat my head against the wall until it works.
Yes.
It's like, I'm going to be smart about how I approach this.
Exactly.
And knowing that even those little efforts,
Yeah.
are like physically changing my brain, that's pretty cool.
It is really cool.
Now, another thing that I found really interesting in the sources
Hmm.
was this idea of community, right? Like finding your people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that.
So, connecting with other language learners, it creates this sense of community and shared purpose,
Right.
which can be so powerful when your motivation dips.
Oh, for sure.
Because we all have those moments, right?
Yeah.
Where we're just like, "Ugh, do I really have to study tonight?"
Yeah.
But if you have, a language exchange partner or you're part of an online forum.
Or even just like a group that meets at a coffee shop or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having that support network can make all the difference.
That's so important. I love that.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up here today, what's the one big thing you want our listeners to take away from this deep dive?
I think the big takeaway is that learning English, or any language for that matter, is a journey.
Yeah.
It's going to have its ups and downs.
For sure.
There will be moments of triumph and moments of doubt.
Absolutely.
But by understanding how our brains learn,
Right.
by embracing proven learning strategies, and by surrounding ourselves with a supportive community,
Yeah.
we can turn that never give up spirit into a reality.
I love it. And you know what we didn't even really talk about today, but one thing that helps me is celebrating the small wins.
Oh, yeah.
Like even if I just learned one new word or I was able to have very, very basic conversation.
Right.
Like I try to celebrate those things because it keeps me motivated.
Absolutely. I think that's so important.
Yeah. So for all of you out there who are on this language learning journey, keep going.
Keep going.
You got this.
You got this.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you later.